Well, Plan, Do, Check, Act and health and safety management systems is probably one of my least favorite topics, and yet it's part of your NEBOSH General Certificate, it's part of your exam, and you need to know how they work. So let's take a look at this question, which usually catches some people out. Here it is. Bit of a weird looking question, isn't it? You've actually got 4 sub-questions. Now, NEBOSH asks this sort of question quite routinely. I do see this sort of question pop up maybe once a year or twice a year, so it could happen to you. And if you know how to approach this, it's actually a very, very easy question. Let's read it very carefully. The first thing we should always do is read the question super carefully. So, using the stages below, comment on how the health and safety management system at Northbridge Engineering improved after it was sold to Structura Limited. And then it says plan, 3 marks, do 5, check 2, act 2. Note, your answers must be based on the scenario only. And so what that means is that theoretical generic answers from our course materials are not going to work. We must only use answers which are taken or inferred, deduced from the scenario, and you'll see what I mean in a moment when we start to answer the question. Now let's read this carefully again. So using the stages below, so these are the stages below, plan, do, check, act. Comment, so comment means an opinion, so we can put in brackets there, an opinion. Give us your opinion on how, like in what way, the health and safety management system, so the management system, like not anything else, not the investigations, not the risk assessments, not the policy, not morale, not culture, no, none of that. How did the health and safety management system, plan, do, check, act, how did that improve at this company after it was sold? So presumably in the scenario, a smaller company is sold to a bigger company, changes are made, the system improves. That's kind of what it sounds like. Now at this point, it's worth noting that the answers split up into plan, do, check, and act. And what that means is that answers relating to do will only get marks in the do. If you start to talk about the do in this part here in the plan, you're not going to get any marks for that, because partly this question is assessing whether you know the difference between the 4 different parts of the management system. Can you recognize what's in plan? Can you recognize in practice what goes into do, what goes into check, and what goes into act? So the first thing you've got to do is make sure that you know, that you understand what goes into each stage of the management system. So before you rush off and answer the question, it might be a good idea to go take a look at your course materials and just do a very, very, very quick bit of revision to make sure that is solid in your mind. So here I'm going to use our study book. This is the NG1 study book, but I could use the IG1 study book if I wanted to. If we go to our table of contents, we'll go to management systems. And we could just go here, the basics of management systems, this will be sufficient. And straight away, I've got plan, do, check, and act. And it broadly tells me what's in there. So policy and planning, I've got risk profiling, organizing, implement the plan, measure performance, and so on. That gives me an idea as to what's where. Now, there is a bit of detail that you should probably look at. So if we scroll down, there'll be a section on, say, plan. So first of all, we've got the policy in the plan. So policy has a commitment, it has aims, objectives, and targets, right? So there's policy with those things. There is planning. So planning has procedures, it has emergency procedures, training plans, maintenance plans, and so on. It has roles and responsibilities too in there, great. Then do, right, do, we've got risk profiling, we've got organizing, we've got control, communication, competence, cooperation, right? So it kind of tells me there, right? So control is like supervision, leadership, performance standards, accountability, cooperation, that's consultation, involvement. So you see what I'm doing? I'm just having a real quick look as to what's in the plan, do, check, and the act. If you're watching this and you're a NEBOSH student, did you know that you have a ton of resources on the Compassa website which you can use? Many of them are very, very cheap. You've got our YouTube section here, loads of free advice here. But if you want some study books, if you want exam technique documents, exam technique guides, instructions on how to do your NG2 or IG2 practical project, you can download those at some very, very reasonable prices from our website. And if you wanted hands-on tutor support with full access to all of our tutorials, guides, me and my colleagues at the tips of your fingers, consider signing up for our NEBOSH Rescue package. You'll get access to our full course and tutor support at a heavily discounted rate. And, well, frankly, you'll struggle to find pass rates that are as consistently high anywhere else. So let's go back to our scenario and just start to have a look and see if we can spot these things along the way. Northbridge Engineering is a small steel fabrication company. Now, just before I get into this is a fake NEBOSH scenario. So if you think I'm sharing confidential information here, you are sorely mistaken. I wrote this is my scenario. It's a very short scenario. It's not very long. It's like a page. So you can tell it's not NEBOSH. NEBOSH are usually two pages, sometimes a bit more. Small steel fabrication company based on an industrial estate. It has been operating for over 20 years and employs 25 welders, fabricators and delivery drivers. The site includes a workshop with heavy machinery, a paint shop and a storage yard for steel beams. For years, the business relied on common sense approaches to safety. Workers had little formal training, PPE use was inconsistent, and the workshop was often cluttered with offcuts and equipment. The company was sold last year to a larger construction company, Structura. Right, so here's the sale, which required Northbridge to align its group-wide health and safety standards. Structura's system is certified to ISO 45001. Oh, 45001, really? Sorry, it's just hard work, 45001. Structura appointed a group health and safety manager, HSM, to work alongside Northbridge's new site manager. Right, so I'm going to say straight away there's an improvement there, and I'm going to say, where's that? I'm going to say that's going to be part of my do. Part of a do because I've employed a competent person to advise the company. Let's carry on. The HSM started by carrying out a gap analysis, reviewing existing practices, walking through the workshop of employees. Well, I'm going to say that's part of a check. So they've done an initial check. They are doing an initial measuring of performance. They also met with supervisors individually to understand common hazards and challenges. And so here it sounds like consultation. There's consultation, and that's part of do. So they are consulting with the supervisors. As a result, a new health and safety policy was developed, signed by Structura's board and displayed around the site. Great, so we've got a policy, that is part of plan, and displayed around the site. So I think the policy has been communicated as part of the do. Workers were told that specific objectives will now be set. Fantastic, so that's part of plan because the policy should have objectives, such as reducing near-miss incidents and cutting manual handling injuries. Supervisors were asked to record progress. Right, report progress and report back at regular management meetings. So this is part of the check. So there's some checking taking place. Training was introduced. All workers attending refresher trainings on weld fuming controls. Blah, blah, blah. Brilliant. So we've got some improvements there and improvements there and improvements there. So all of that is training and that is do. There might be multiple answers in there. So there's this training, that training, and that training. I don't think you're going to get 3 marks just for training, but there's a lot of training. The company also began to trial a new lifting aid to reduce reliance on manual handling. Okay, I think that's part of the do as well, because they're putting some controls in to reduce the risks. The HSM introduced a new system for incident and near-miss reporting. Fantastic, with forms available in the workshop and a digital submission option. So all that's great. That's part of the check. Supervisors began holding 5-minute daily safety briefings at the start of each shift. Fantastic, that's part of my do because that's communication. Workers started raising issues more openly, such as blocked fire exits and worn out grinding discs. That's also fantastic, and that's again part of my do because again that's another form of communication. Weekly inspections were reinstated. Fantastic. So findings recorded, shared at monthly management meetings. So that is going to be part of the check. Inspections is part of monitoring and checking, shared at monthly site meetings. What's that? I think that's going to be ACT. I think it's ACT because if we go back to our course materials and just trying to remember what goes where, but here, plan, do, check, ACT, reviewing performance. So they're reviewing the reports at the monthly management meeting, which sounds to me like reviewing, doesn't it? So that'd be in ACT. So I'm going to put that there in ACT, and I'm going to make that yellow again. During one inspection, a damaged extraction system was identified and replaced promptly. Fantastic. So we're now seeing an effective repair system. So the checking is leading. Is that going to be do? Or is that ACT? They've checked and now they're replacing something. I'm going to put that down as ACT. Okay, so they're acting and they're making improvements. Tempted to put it down as do as well because maintenance and repairs is part of the doing. You know what? I'll just put it down in both. Here's a thing for you. If you're unsure on a question like this, just put it down in both. Because the examiner's not allowed to do negative marking. You know, if you write an answer in here and you put pretty much the same answer there, right, they're not allowed to deduct you a mark or anything like that. They can't. If it belongs in do, but you put it in do and act, they're not going to take off the mark in do because you put it in act. That's not how it works. They're not allowed to do that. So just, if you're unsure, just put it down in both, but you know, maybe explain why you've put it down in both, just to show the examiner you're not completely taking the mickey with this. All right, let's carry on with our scenario. Structura required all sites to carry out quarterly internal audits. Fantastic. And they started scheduling these with results shared with both site staff and group management. So that is also part of the check. An audit is part of checking. When an apprentice suffered a minor burn from a welding spark, the incident was investigated thoroughly. Oh, root cause is identified. Fantastic. All that's part of check. And corrective actions taken. Fantastic. So this is going to be part of act. The investigation results were shared with the whole workforce during a safety briefing. So this is about learning lessons, isn't it? What they've learned lessons from the accident, they're now sharing the lessons, that's part of the act. They've got changes to supervision practices. Again, I can make a note of that, that's part of act. Over the following 6 months, Northbridge saw fewer minor injuries and near misses. That's an improvement, but that's not an improvement to the management system. That's just an improvement in results. So that's not going to go anywhere. Workers commented that management seemed more serious about safety. Again, that's an improvement, but it's not an improvement to the system. And that problems were being acted on quickly. The site manager told workers that lessons learned from audits and investigations will be built into next year's objectives. Oh, you know, I think that is. It's like they are now reviewing the objectives as part of their continual improvement process. So that's act. They are acting differently in the future. So there we are. I've made a load of notes. Now, none of that is going to get me a mark. So what I now need to do is just start answering these questions. So let's start with A, and I'm going to start just going back through this and just looking for my plans. What did I have? I have got a plan there, new health and safety policy signed by the board, and I've got objectives. And is that all? Oh, I've got 3 marks, but I've only identified 2 things. Well, let's not panic. Let's write down those 2 things and let's see if there's a third one somewhere. Anyway, first thing I'm going to do is write down just a list of things. So I'm going to say there's a new health and safety policy and signed, and I'm also going to say that there are objectives. Now, that will not get me any marks. I'm just writing a list right now just to see if I can get a full answer to the question. Do. I need 5 things for do. So what have we got? We've got a new health and safety manager appointed. We've got the consultation with the supervisors. Okay. A new competent health and safety manager has been hired to assist and advise. Next one is this health and safety manager has improved consultation by consulting the managers on the hazards in the workplace. And, oh dear, what have I just done? I always do this. Instead of writing a list, I've actually just started to write full answers, which is fine. It's maybe a little bit faster. Unless you're super organized in your brain, I recommend you just write a shopping list of things you want to say, real short answers, and then for each one, just write out the answers in full. You don't have to do that. You can do it the way I do it if you want to, but it's useful for some people to write a list first. So let's carry on a list and let's see what happens. Another do. So displayed around the site. The policy is displayed around the site. So we'll say 3, communication, policy, display. Go back up a bit. We've got specific objective. Where's my do? I'm looking for a do. There it is. Do. A da da da. That's all I got to say to you. You should always sing when answering NEBOSH questions. Always sing. It makes it go so much easier. Training. Lots of training. Lots of training. Lots of training. That's going to be answer 4. Lots of training. That's competence. 5. I've got another do. We've got training. Trialing a new lifting aid. Okay. Trialing new lifting aid. New risk controls. Okay. Do. 5-minute safety briefings. Okay. More communication. 5-minute briefings. And again, I want to put the numbers there if I want to. The numbers help me keep a simple count of how many points I've made, which is very useful, especially if you have like a 25 mark question. Using numbered bullet points will show you very quickly how many answers you've made. You don't want to be sat there counting them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh no, I'm missing 2. Hey, sorry to interrupt. If you're regretting your choice of course provider and you'd wish you studied with me instead, there's no problem. You can. Why don't you head over to Google right now and Google Compassa Rescue. Search for that and go to our rescue package. This is available for both international and national General Certificate students. Perhaps your course is expired. Perhaps you've failed one of the assessments and you don't know what to do next. Perhaps you're just not happy with the level of teaching or support you're getting from your course provider. In that case, come check out the rescue package and click on Apply Now. We will offer you a very, very special discount so that you can get access to our full General Certificate course with all of my tutor support, all of our mock exam support, NG2, IG2 project support, all of our video tutorials, study books, PDF guides. You will get everything that we offer to our own students. And then you will have a chance of joining us with some of the highest pass rates in the NEBOSH e-learning industry. Let's get back to the advice. More do's, more do's. We've got briefings. We've got people are raising issues more easily. We've got maintenance being done. Okay, so workers reporting issues. We've got maintenance carried out, placements, anything else. I mean, it's only 5 marks, but let's put it all down just in case. That's all my do's, fantastic. That's the process I would follow for this. So I've just kind of listed them, and I would do that for the check and the act as well. Now that I've listed them, I want to write those things out in full. Now, I'm kind of missing an answer here for my plan, but actually I think the signed may be actually an answer. So let's write this one out in full. A new health and safety policy has been written. Now, just going back to the question isn't like, what did they do to improve the system? It's asking comment, like give an opinion, in what way has the system improved? So I'm gonna have to express some kind of opinion here. And of course, I'm focusing on the positives only. So a new health and safety policy has been written. And what was going on before? They relied on common sense. Okay, it doesn't say they don't have a policy, but okay. This is a big improvement on their previous approach, which was based on common sense. This formalizes the management's commitment to health and safety. There we are. There's a full answer. Now I'm going to talk about the signing of it as well. This policy has also been signed by who? What did it say? Signed by Structure's board, right? So has also been signed by the most senior people in the organization, the head company. Again, what's my comment? I've got to comment and give an opinion on, like, why is that an improvement? Why is that better? This demonstrates the new policy has the authority of the board and highlights how important it is compared to the previous relaxed approach. And finally, there's one on objectives. So they're going to start setting objectives. Where did it say that? Workers were told that specific objectives will now be set, such as reducing near-miss incidents and cutting back the manual handling injuries. Right, and also they're going to record progress and report back. All right, so recording progress on the objectives. I see. Right, let's put that down in here. So new specific objectives are being introduced for the first time, right? So that's good. Can I comment a bit more on this? The objectives are focusing on priority hazards like manual handling and what was it? Was it cuts? What was it? Near miss incidents. Okay. Manual handling and near miss incidents. The objectives are supported by a system of checking progress, reporting back to management. Okay, there we are. I've given 3 answers now in total. I think that's good enough for my plan. I'll now move on to the do and write answers there. I'm not going to write answers for all of these because it will be a very, very long video and it's been long enough already. But that's broadly my general approach. As you write these and you notice, like where I said check progress there, check, that immediately I said, oh, hang on, that's not part of plan. That's part of check, obviously. So maybe I should just check that I've made a note of that when I do check here. Maybe I should make sure there's a note of that supervisors are checking somehow that progress against the objectives is being made. And then they're reporting that back to management, which you could argue is actually part of the act. They're reporting it back to management then consider it and act accordingly. So as you're writing answers, feel free to kind of like add information to the other questions as well. Hope you found that helpful. Nice, easy way of approaching that question. If you've got any questions of your own, which you'd like to ask me, please drop them in the comments below.